So I promised my husband that I would give a garden tour, a video garden tour, when the bee balm bloomed in spring. So I've been waiting around for the bee balm to bloom. It hasn't shown any signs. It keeps getting taller and taller and taller. And I'm like, man, it was summer solstice yesterday. My spring veggies, they're still in the garden, but they all have an eviction notice. And the bee balm still isn't bloomed. And then I looked and I was like, you know what? I think it blooms a little bit later, so probably another week or two. So I thought I better get my butt into the garden and show you what we have going on. Just for context, most of you, if you know me, I'm Danielle, my husband's Dannon. We have 3 kids, ages 12, 10, and 3. And I'm sure you'll get to meet them at some point. In fact, you might while I'm actually recording, because it's very rare that I can get like 10-15 minutes on my own without interruption. And I know plenty other parents can relate to that. So I'll show you what we have going on in here. We are in northern West Virginia. That was a gunshot. There's been a lot of them out here. We're very rural West Virginia. There's another. So, rural West Virginia, zone 6A. I used to live in New York. We moved down here 3 years ago. So I was zone 5A or 5B, Western New York area, and then moved down here 3 years ago. This is our 3rd summer, I believe. It might actually be our 4th, but our first year we really didn't garden it much. I think I threw some tomatoes and some cucumbers in, kind of let them go because we had so much hauling out of our house and setting up that construction, all that. So we didn't get much in the garden. So I promised my husband that I would get this video done. So here we are. So another thing to mention about our area here, we do have a microclimate. Despite the fact that we're south of Morgantown, you would think that we would have an even warmer climate, but we're a little bit up in elevation on a mountain, so we have kind of a little bit cooler microclimate. Not as cool as where I came from, not as short of a season, definitely still have a long season, which is nice. Here is the bee balm that hasn't bloomed. It is getting huge. It's like 3.5 to 4 feet on one side, but not quite blooming yet. We shall see. So my husband and I, we have been working on adapting to permaculture methods for the last few years. I'm sure that you'll hear about the Back to Eden method. We started with that actually. So this whole area from this side to past that little fence post, about 6 feet, was once upon a time covered completely in wood chips. But we have learned and adapted and tweaked things along the way. This trellis here, it did have peas on it, and I just ripped those suckers out. They weren't doing great, and we're almost at the end of peas anyway. And I'm going to be growing cucumbers. So I've got a bunch of Chicago pickle, Boston pickle, Japanese long, a few different varieties growing, and then a morning glory just for a little fun. And then this is my second overflow tomato bed. These are just tiny, but I put them in 3 days ago, and you should have seen how small they were and lame they were. And so I threw them in the ground, and they are quite happy now. They've almost doubled in size. More gunshots. I really didn't probably need more tomatoes, but I have a really hard time giving up on tomatoes. So this is my second overflow. I'll show you the first overflow, and then I'll show you my, regular tomato bed. This is some pak choi that's laying down to go to seed, so I can collect its seeds. So right there, it's just flopping there. This is my little beet bed. I tend to plant my beets now in kind of a Charles Dowding method. I think these poor girls need some water this morning. We got some good rain and everything just came to life like 2 days ago. We haven't had rain in we've had about a ½ inch in 5 weeks, which is crazy for spring. So I've had to water a lot more than I usually do. But then after the rain, everything just came to life and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna let them be and not water yesterday. Just kind of let them soak in all that rainwater in the ground. But today they clearly need some water. I have lettuces growing right here on this trellis, but that's just because I fill in with lettuce wherever I have a spare spot. This will also be a cucumber trellis for the most part. Here's a Chicago pickle right there. Another one that I've been having to pick the lettuce and keep giving it light, which I guess I should do that right now. Looks like I might need to do more than that. And then another little morning glory, and then the other side of that trellis I have 2 more pickles or 2 more cucumbers and a morning glory. So anyways, I plant these like Charles Dowding method where I put 2 to 3 in kind of a bunch, and as they grow they'll naturally be a leader, one that will get bigger and ready first. So I will pop that one out and we'll eat those. We'll eat like the first biggest, and then I'll leave 2 in the grouping and they'll get bigger, and then we'll keep on picking from them. Back here I've got some onions. They're not as big as probably other people's onions because I didn't get onions in early, so I planted a variety called Elsa Craig that you can late plant. They're a sweet white onion. They're supposed to be able to get up to 5 pounds, so I'm curious about that. This is my first year growing them. But they don't store well, so they'll be eating onions as they come up. I'll set that over here. Right down the way, these are my most mature peas that are hardly on the trellis now. I did plant peas in succession so that we would be eating peas for days, and sure enough, we have been eating peas for days, every day. Yesterday, my son Lucas said, "Hey Mom, can I eat those peas?" I said, "Sure, go get them." So I wasn't in the garden. He came out. He just dug in, and all of these peas were just like laying on the ground. So they're still not up there great. They were getting so tall, and I don't know, probably a few more days on this grouping before I rip them out, plant something in there. I'm not sure what I'm going to plant over there. I do have some long beans coming up on that side and a cucumber. I might plant some more like red noodle beans on this side, or I might throw, I don't know, sugar baby watermelon or cantaloupe. I'm not real sure. If you've got any suggestions, throw them out there. I do have noodle beans, but I have a whole trellis that's all noodle beans already. Here's more lettuce. Like I was saying, stick it wherever you can. I think lettuce is beautiful, so I do the same thing a little bit with Swiss chard. I've got some rainbow chard. I just stuck one right there. I've got some noodle beans right behind it. So this here, these peas growing in this bed, which was my son's first bed, that Mom has kind of taken over. But that's okay, because he has his own full bed now that he takes care of all by himself. He has carrots in it. I've got lettuce in it. He's got carrots in it and peas. And these peas are actually really producing right now, so I don't want to pull them out quite yet. But maybe in a week or so. And then his cucumber that's like looking for a place to go very soon. I might just have to remove a couple of the pea plants there. Lavender starts. I've got a couple of containers of lavender starts. I have a mature lavender plant that I'll show you that could be growing better. It's doing well right now, but I'll show you that. This is probably our most mature lettuce that we've been eating out the most. I have the rainbow chard there, all down that line. Some cilantro. And this is spinach that is mostly bolted, but I promised myself this year, and I promised a friend, that I would save all my seed, or try to save as much seed as I can, and be a little bit more self-sufficient, not have to compete with the masses. Have seed that is adapted to my own ground here. So hopefully grow even better for me. More lettuces. I keep lettuce going. I stick it in places where I think it might be start getting some shade in the summer so that it won't bolt so quick. So far, I haven't had any lettuce bolt, so that's pretty cool. This bed here, it's mostly flowers, dill. It's going to transition over the years to more of a perennial herb bed, perennial flowers. This is that lavender I was talking about. And I guess a testament to the fact that I don't like to give up on plants. This I had bought as a small plant a couple years ago, and I didn't know at the time that at the end of the season you're supposed to chop it down like 2/3 of the way down for it to kind of force its energy down into its roots, and then in the new season it'll work on its leaves and flowers. So what happened is it developed a woody stem, which is not beautiful. It's not terrible, but it takes a lot of its energy. I was giving it another year's chance to see if it would produce some flowers, because I only got a couple last year, and already I got quite a few. I moved it and told it had one more year to go and said, let's see if you like this part of the garden better, and gave it some fish fertilizer and amended the soil a little bit, so we shall see how she does. I'm growing some dahlias this year. I grew them from seed. I grew most of everything in here from seed, with a couple exceptions, and I'll tell you about those. So anyway, I have some dahlias, and some of them are doing okay. This is an okay one, but as you can tell, it's got a lot of slug damage. I had a couple different things that we were growing that seemed to get a little slug damage. I was proactive with it, used a couple different methods to work on it, and in hindsight, weirdly enough, the best thing that worked seemed to be the beer in a cup method, where you bury a plastic cup or whatever cup with beer in it right next to the plant that you're having problems with. All the slugs are attracted to the smell of the beer. They crawl in and they drown. I would get up and see like seriously 15, 20 slugs in each cup. So I definitely recommend that method. Nasturtiums that are just starting to blossom. Nasturtiums are beautiful flower. They also are showing signs that they want water today. Their leaves and their flowers are edible. They're very mild tasting, nice to put into a salad. Good companion plant. Cosmos. I got some free cosmos seeds from Baker's Creek this year, and so I was just like, let's just plant them everywhere. So I got cosmos going everywhere around the yard. Borage or borage. This is a great plant to attract bees. It is also edible. It's going to grow quite big. I have 2 of them, I believe, growing. But I couldn't believe how this has exploded over the last 2 days, just from a little rain. There was no blossoms on the top and these top leaves 2 days ago. This all happened in 2 days after just a little bit of rain. This is a dahlia plant that really wasn't doing well, and it's still not doing great, but you should have seen how bad it was. I didn't want to give up with it, so I kind of babied it for a couple days, and then just as a backup plan, Cosmo. So if it doesn't pick up, Cosmo. But if it picks up, I'll move the Cosmo.